Almsgiving. Zakat, or the alms tax, is the third pillar of Islam. There are two forms of charity in Islam, obligatory and voluntary, which are called zakat and sadaqah respectively. Zakat means to purify, from the verb zakah. By giving up of a portion of the wealth in one's possession, the remainder is purified or legalized to be used by the almsgiver. Zakat is God's due portion of what we own and what we produce. There are many ways of making a living in this world. One can work on the land, in a factory, a shop, or in an office. But what part do we actually play in all this? Our role is, in fact, minimal. Multiple forces are at work in the universe and within ourselves, which accord to our needs. All these forces come together to enable us to earn a livelihood. All this has been ordained by the Lord of the universe. That is why, once a year, one should calculate one's earnings and put aside a portion for God. In so doing, one acknowledges the fact that it is all from God. Without His help, one could earn nothing. To spend for the cause of God is to express a sublime attachment to the Lord. It shows a yearning to empty oneself before Him. One should feel as one gives that one is offering everything to God and seeking nothing for oneself. This is the spirit in which a Muslim should help others. We feed you for God's sake only. We seek of you neither recompense nor thanks. 8 categories of people, eligible to receive zakat, have been specified in this verse of the Quran. Alms shall be used only for the advancement of God's cause, for the ransom of captives and debtors, and for distribution among the poor, the destitute, wayfarers, those that are employed in collecting alms, and those that are converted to the faith. This is a duty enjoined by God. He is wise and all-knowing. Zakat funds are to be spent, according to the Quran, on the poor and the destitute, the wayfarer, the bankrupt, the needy, converts, captives, collectors of zakat, and in the cause of God. The last category allows zakat funds to be used for the general welfare of the community, for education of the people, for public works, and for any other need of the Muslim community. Zakat in spirit is an act of worship, while in its external form, it is the carrying out of a social service. Zakat is thus not merely the payment of a tax, as it is generally understood. It has indeed a great religious significance. Its importance is underscored by the fact that the Quran treats it at par with salat, prayer. The Quran frequently enjoins the believers to perform the worship and pay the zakat. The Quran goes to the extent of saying that one cannot attain righteousness unless one spends out of one's wealth for the love of God. In the words of the Quran, "By no means shall you attain righteousness unless you give of that which you love." The Quran disapproves of people who make a show of their almsgiving. Zakat is a test of the sincerity and unselfishness of the believer, for there is no authority to force any Muslim to pay it. It is entirely up to the conscience of the individual whether or not he or she pays it. The willingness to pay shows that one's heart is clean of the love of money. It shows that one is prepared to use one's money for the service of humanity. The Prophet of Islam was always very concerned for the poor and the needy. He went to the extent of saying, "He is not a believer who eats his fill while his neighbor remains hungry by his side." Muslim.